Yes, sir.
Yeah. You want your video, then we will start now. Already 21 is joined. We have 26 participants, 26, 27 participants only. So let them join. So, dear participant, good afternoon. In after lunch session, today after lunch session, and today after lunch session, we are going to start with a very good researcher. I can say one of the best researcher in the library and information science subject, Dr. Mayank Yuvaraj, and who is able to publish very good publications in Scopus and Web of Science, one of the top authors in the field of library and information science. And I am very happy today he is with us to share his experience and the research background. So, Dr. Manguvaj, I welcome you in 5th FIP program organized by the UGC HRDC Center, Mizoram University. And with this, I don't want to, because your profile is very big, and everyone after your lecture, they will himself realize how your contribution to the field. So with this, I introduce you and now handing over the session to you for your lecture. Dr. Mike.
Thank you so much, sir, for the brief introduction. And let me share my screen. All right. Is
Yeah.
my screen visible,
Yeah, it is visual and now in the presentation mode.
sir? So the topic of my deliberation is how to identify and avoid predatory publishers and journals for research publication. So you must have heard about the term predatory publishers and predatory journals. So in this session, I will be going to orient you towards the predatory publishers. What are these predatory publishers? What are predatory journals? And how you can avoid them, because it has become a menace, particularly in the context of India. Many predatory journals and predatory publishers have come into picture, and they are just, you can say, they are affecting the research quality. All right, so let's start. So one of the main objective of research, as we all know, that whatever research we do, we have to report the results of that research in the form of research articles. All right. And these research articles has to be published in a high quality peer reviewed journal. But the problem is that there is no any concrete definition that which journals are of high quality and which journals should be considered as peer reviewed. Even if you find that some journals have a review board, they review the papers, they may not be of high quality. All right. So this is a big problem, like where to submit a particular paper. So if you look at the scenario of other countries, like if you see of Indonesia, like there it is requirement that faculty members, they have to publish at least 10% of their publication in English. Okay, but the problem is that only 5% of Indonesians, uh, they can write in English. That is a major problem in Indonesia. All
No.
right. Now, in other countries like China, okay, they have instituted a reward from of $30 to 1,65,000 US dollars for publishing a paper in Web of Science Index journal. Okay, so there it is a clear-cut definition. If you look in the context of South Africa, they have also instituted some monetary reward for publishing in a recognized journal. Okay, but here there is a big problem that they don't have familiarized any guideline that which journals are considered as recognized journals. So that is a problem. Okay. Again, if you see in Nigeria, there also they have set up a benchmark that they have to publish certain proportion of articles in foreign journals. Okay. But there also there is no any clear cut definition that what they mean by foreign journals. Okay, so this is a big problem, like how to identify the credibility of journals, how to identify that which journals are suitable for the research and where you need to publish your papers. All right, now in Kazakhstan, there the PhD students they have to publish at least papers in Scopus. Okay, so we all know that Scopus and Web of Science, these are two internationally acknowledged database. Okay, and if you publish your paper in Scopus or Web of Science based journal, then they are considered as of high quality. Okay, but even then, like we need to publish paper, we want to get it published as early as possible. So we look for some kind of shortcuts, and there the predatory journals they comes into the picture. Okay, they just give you some kind of, you can say, lucrative issues, like they will suggest that they will publish your paper at first, you pay some money. So they are trying to come and they want to publish your papers as fast as possible. Okay, now why these predatory journals they have become such a nuisance, particularly in the context of India. All right, so if you see the leading reports, like this is a report which has been published in Nature Journal, and this report is of the year 2017. There it was published that India is leading in terms of predatory journals on the basis of a study of 200 journals which has published 1907 papers. They came to conclusion that the leading number of authors, that means 27% of authors, they were from India. And the second country was United States, from where 15% of articles were published. So you can say that how, in terms of research, India has been predicted, India has been, uh, India is leading in predatory journals, which is not a good indication for research. All right. Again, another report was published in Science Journal. Science is also a leading journal. Yeah, this has been published in Science. Again, on the basis of some study, they concluded that India was leading in terms of predatory publishers. Okay, I will show you in later session that how the predatory publisher they have emerged and how they are affecting the research quality. All right. So this was the scenario of India at the time, in 2017. Okay, from 2017 to 2018, there were no any clear cut parameters like what are the recognized journals, what where you need to publish. Then in 2019, uh, UGC thought to put a check on these predatory journals, and they started an initiative in the form of UGC Care List. Okay, and they launched the UGC Care List portal, from where they evaluated the journals on the basis of a set of criteria. And after evaluation of the journals, they every year they demonstrate a list, like these are recognized journals where you can publish your papers. All right. Now, after this portal was launched in 2019, now you can see the scenario. India, which was ranking at the top in 2017, now it ranks at the third position. Okay, but even then, it is not a good sign, because in research, these kind of activities like predatory journals or predatory publishing, it should not be in picture, because it affects the research quality, it affects the research ranking. You might be familiar with the various research accreditation system, like NAC rankings are given, NIRF rankings are given, and in order to be at the top in these lists, these kind of practice, it should be prohibited completely. So even then there are signs of improvement from 2017, where India was at the top. Now it is ranking at the third position. All right. Now the big question comes that how the predatory publishers, they become so much powerful. All right. So if we look at the journal publishing model, so basically there are two kinds of model. Uh, First, I will take up the traditional model of journal publishing. Okay. So in traditional model, what we do, we prepare an article. Okay. After preparing that article, we find a suitable journal according to the title or scope of our study, and then we submit that paper. Okay. After the submission of the paper, then there starts the peer review process where the article is reviewed by one or two reviewers and they give their own comments. All right. And after the peer review process, then there is a publication cost. Okay. This publication cost is required for producing the journal. Like they used to collect five or six articles, they combine together and they release it in the form of a journal. Okay. So in the traditional model, this publication cost that was paid by the publisher. Okay. And after the publication cost was paid, the copyright that was also retained by the publisher. In the traditional model, authors do not own the copyright. Then, after the publication cost and copyright that has been done, then the article was published as a journal issue in print and the digital form. Okay. And in order to access the articles of that journal, individuals or library, they used to pay a subscription fee or they used to subscribe the journal to access the papers. So this was basically the traditional model. All right. Then came the open access model, where the problem was that in the traditional model, like without subscription or without paying the subscription fee, you could not get access to the paper. So in order to remove the accessibility of the papers, open access came into picture. Like open access stressed upon free accessibility of research, that the papers, research paper, they should be accessible to each and everyone free of cost. Okay. So in this open access model, article was prepared by the researcher, and after the preparation of article, the article was submitted to the journal depending upon the scope and the title of the study. And then here again, the peer review process started as in traditional model. And after the peer review process, the publication cost that has to be paid by the author in this open access model. On the other hand, in traditional model, this publication cost that was paid by the publisher. All right. Here, the copyright that was retained by the author. But in traditional model, the copyright was retained by the publisher. Okay. Then after the publication cost was paid, the copyright was done, then the paper was published as journal issue in digital form. Mostly this model, open access model, you'll be seeing that most of the journals these days, they are available in online format, digital format. Okay, so this model is was more, you can say, viable for the predatory publishers to thrive, and they emerged into a larger number. All right. So after the publication of the paper in the open access, the accessibility of that paper that was available free of cost. Anyone can download the paper and there was no any subscription fee or subscription amount involved in this open access model. Okay, but this publication cost, this was, you can say, a boon for the predatory publisher. They started using this model and they started bargaining with the authors. Like, you pay me some amount and I will publish your paper in digital form as early as possible. So, using this model, the predatory publishers started their business, and they were solely developed for profit making only. So, little bit background about the predatory journals. So, basically, in 2010, a librarian whose name was Jeffrey Bell, he coined the term predatory journals. All right, and this predatory journals or the predatory publishers, they were developed for financial gain only. Okay, they hardly bothered about the quality of the research credibility. They were just meant to harvest the APC model, and they used to make profit. Okay, and the predatory journals, what they do, they set a article processing charge for authors. Okay, they provide very rare or some, you can say, peripheral peer reviews for submission, and ignores many of the editorial services which you are getting for publication. Like, in many of the reputed journals published by Elsevier or Scopus, you can see there are many kind of range of services which are offered through their editorial services, but they hardly bothered about the editorial services and the peer review process. Okay, then these predatory publishers, what they do, they start sending spam emails. You might have received, like this journal, an invitation from a particular journal that we can publish your paper as early as possible. You send us, or sometimes they invite you to be as an editor or act or be a member of the editorial board. Like, they use these tricks to trap you, so that once you are trapped, you send your paper, and then they can bargain using this article processing charges. All right. And the only purpose of these predatory journals was to maximize profit. Okay. And they always use deceptive tactics to entice submission and compel payments. If you fall into their trap, you will be bound to pay and publish your paper. Okay. These predatory publishers also report fabricated impact factor. Like, we all know that impact factor that is given, that is published in the form of journal citation report, and currently it is maintained by Clarivate Analytics. That is only the authentic agency which provides impact factor of journals. But sometimes you can see these predatory publishers, they will also give you some vague impact factor like SJIF, or they will some other way they will show that this journal has a high impact factor. Okay, so these are some way in which they try to fool you. Okay, then the other thing is that if you look at the scope of these journals, and then they will find that the scope and the title of the articles which are published by these journals, they will not match. Okay, because the international journals which are published by Scopus and Web of Science, they always focus on their aims and scope. Like, a journal uh, who is publishing articles in library science cannot publish an article in physics, but these predatory journals, they can do anything. Their scope will be something, and the title of the papers that you will find, that will be completely different. All right. Then the biggest problem is that, like, if you tend to cite the papers which have been published in predatory journals, then that decreases the quality of scholarly work also. So we should not cite, or we should not quote any work which has been published in any predatory journals. All right. Now I will show you the snapshot of some of the ways or some of the emails that I had received from this predatory publisher. Now you see how they will target. You can see, like, I received a mail from the International Journal of Scientific Research, and they know very well that we need to publish paper in order to get API score as per the UGC regulation. So in the subject they have written that increase your API score with UGC valid publication, so that you are bound to click on this email. Now if you see, as I showed you in the previous slide, you see, like the journal has ISSN number. I don't know whether it's true or false. And again, it's showing that the impact factor is 5.711. And in the bracket, it's showing SJIF. Okay. This SJIF, it is also very false. So if you receive some emails like this, first of all, check the details. Okay. Check the impact factor, check the ISSN number. I will show you the website from where you can check the ISSN number, from where you can get the impact factor. You should, before submitting your paper, if you receive such kind of email, just be ready and just check the details before submission. Then you will not fall into their trap. Now, the second email that I received, now you see the subject of the email. It says rapid publication process. And now you can see, like, it gives me details also, like it's open access, it's peer reviewed, its ISSN number is this. Now it's also saying that its acceptance ratio is also very high, 26.94. So this way they try to trap you. Now I received one email like this. This was also from a predatory publisher. What they did, I published one article in a journal. Okay. Now randomly, I don't know how they selected this paper as a book chapter. You can see in the subject, like this paper has been selected as a book chapter. Okay. And when I scrolled the mail, then I got what they wanted to do. You see, then they are asking for some kind of charge, and they are giving me 80% discount also on the publication charge. And this charge has been announced for this month only. So these are some kind of traps. So you need to be very careful. Now you see, this is the biggest blunder that I got. Uh, from the subject, I found that it was a request to review one article. Okay. And when I saw the title of the paper, you see, the title reads as the impact of underrepresentation in cardiovascular trials on minorities in the United States. Now you see, I am basically from library science subject. I don't have any idea about this cardiovascular trials and all this. How can I review, and how they have sent me this paper for reviewing? So you can imagine how ridiculous sometimes they act, and they can go to any extent just to trap you. So what are the common signs of predatory publisher? How you will know that whether the email or whether that journal that is from a predatory publisher? So I've listed some of the common, you can say, common features of predatory publisher. All right. So the first sign is that if you check the website of that publisher, then in the contact page they will be using a web form, like they would have developed a Google form just to contact you. Okay. And they will never list their original contact details just to falsify their location. Okay. They will never reveal that from where they are acting. Okay. Then the second sign is that they will not be using their own domain name. Like they'll be using commercial email addresses like Gmail, Yahoo, or Hotmail. So that this they do because for getting a domain name registered, they will have to pay to and get a domain name. Okay. So just to save money on this, they will never register any domain and they will use the commercial email addresses like Gmail, Yahoo, or Hotmail. And the other thing is that if you use any particular domain, then it could reveal the location, like from where they are operating. So they are very small. They never use or purchase any domain name. Okay. Then the third sign is that the publisher has a web domain in the location of a developing country, indicating that it relies on a local server. Like if you, as I showed in the previous mail, International Journal of Science and Technology, IJST. Okay, so if you search on Google IJST, then you will find that its domain name is registered from India. Okay, but from the contact page, you will find that they have an office registered in London. Okay, so this is also a clear-cut sign that that journal is a predatory journal and that has been categorized as predatory publisher. Okay, again, you can detect from the IP address that the publisher will have an IP address of a developing country. Okay, this is also a clear-cut evidence that the journal or the publisher it is predatory in nature. Okay, then the fifth sign is that the publisher will ask for APC article processing charge with a currency other than the currency of the country where its address appears. In most cases, when local currency is charged, another Western currency such as the US dollar, English pound, or euro is concurrently accepted. So it is also a clear-cut sign. You need to see that uh, what is the conversion rate in which whether they are charging the APC in dollar or pound or euro. You need to be very familiar, and then you have to see the contact. If you get the location, if somewhere they have mentioned where their headquarters or the office is located, then they should charge depending upon their location. Suppose if they are situated in America, then they should charge in US dollar, not in English pound. So it is also a clear-cut symbol that that publisher or journal is predatory in nature. Okay. Then the sixth sign is that these publishers target authors in a specific location other than the country where it lists its address, okay, which indicates its proximity to the location. That means that these journals, particularly like some of the predatory journals I have found that they have their headquarters in London, okay, but you will receive emails and you can see the editor. Particularly, I showed you in the previous screen also. Like the editor, he was from Calcutta, but the office that is situated in London. So these are also some common signs to detect that a journal is predatory in nature. Okay. Then the seventh sign is that the publisher provides a bank account in a developing country for the purpose of collecting APC, which is the strongest evidence of misrepresentation of the publisher's real location. Okay, so if you find that they are giving a bank details of a developing country, okay, but their location, or you can say you are finding that in the contact details they have given some other location. So it is also they are trying to fool you. All right. Now, how to avoid? I discussed about the characteristic. What are predatory journals? What are the characteristics of predatory publishers and journals? Now the question comes how to avoid them. Okay. So there is a general tendency that we often use Google to search for journals. Okay. But a recent study it shows that Google retrieves 3 times more predatory journals than legitimate journals. Okay, so you should not use Google particularly for searching any journal. There are many other tools which have been developed through which you can avoid predatory publishers and journals and you can identify the credible or the journals which are of high quality. Okay, so Mainly, if you see the list, there are two kinds of lists. The first one is blacklisted journals, uh, which you can find in Bell's list or Cabell's list. Okay, what they do, the Bell's list, that is the open source, and in the Bell's list you'll find the complete details of journals which are blacklisted, okay, or which are predatory in nature. Then the other tool, that is Cabell's list. This Cabell's list is not open source, it is a commercial database, but it also offers the complete details of blacklisted journals. Okay, apart from the blacklisted journals, there are some sources to know about the whitelist journals, like which are the recognized journals where you can submit your papers. And the tools are like Doge is there. Doge is basically a directory of open access journals. Okay. Then the UGC care list is there, which I showed you earlier. It was launched in 2019 just to curb the predatory journals growth. Then Clarivate master journal list is there. Like this master journal list, it basically includes a list of journals which are indexed in Web of Science. All right. Then Scopus sources are there. The Scopus sources basically list the journals which are indexed in Scopus. All right. So now I will practically demonstrate you these resources, like how you are going to use these tools. All right, let me share my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yeah, visible, visible. Continues.
Okay, sir. So the first tool that I mentioned, that is Bales list. You can see this is the interface of this Bales list. Okay, it is a basically a open source, and here you can find the list of publishers. Okay, which has already been recognized as predatory. Okay, so either you can search by publisher and you can find the details. If they are listed, if the journal that you have searched and that has been listed over here, then there is no need to send your paper in that particular journal. Okay. Then the other blacklisted source, that is Cable's list, which I mentioned. This is basically commercial source. Okay, it is not available as an open source. You need to pay a subscription fee to get access to this tool. But even then, it offers three important services, or you can say products. Like Journalytics is there, where they offer the complete analysis of a journal, like what is its acceptance rate, what is how much time it takes in peer review. Then the predatory reports are there, where you can find the detailed report on the basis of a criteria, uh, detailed criteria, that how you can say that that particular journal is predatory. Then author services, they offer recommendation, like where you can submit your paper. Okay. So if you can get access to this tool, it is very much powerful tool. All right. Now regarding the whitelist tools. Okay. So the first tool that I would like to mention, that is Doge, this one, Directory of Open Access Journal. Okay. So this tool, it basically includes open access journals only. Okay. Suppose you want to find journals in commerce. Now you see, I've searched by commerce and you can see it lists around 746 journals which are available as a open source. Okay. From here you can refine your results, like if you want to see the journals which do not take any article processing charge. So again you can see the list, you see. There are other filters also, which you can try on your own. Blind peer review, double blind peer review, editorial review, triple blind peer review. Okay. So either you can search by subject, or suppose you get any email from a predatory publisher to contribute any paper. So you can search, you can enter the title of that journal and you can search over here. If that journal claims to be open access, then it should be indexed in this database. All right. So this was DOS. Then the Indian tool that UGC is developed, that is UGC care list. This is the interface of UGC care list portal. All right. You need to create an account to get an access to this database. And after you have created your account, you need to log in over it. And here you will find that this journal, it categorizes or lists journals into two groups. The first one is group one and the second one is group two. Okay. In the group one, there are some journals which are evaluated on the basis of UGC protocols. That means these journals, they will not be indexed in Scopus or Web of Science. On the other hand, the UGC Careless Group 2 journals, they are basically those journals which are already indexed in Web of Science or Scopus. Okay, so these two lists are there. You can search by subject. Here is the option. From the subject, you can enter your subject and you can find any particular journal. Okay, but even then, I will suggest you in my personal, it is my personal opinion that you should always focus on group 2 journals. Okay, the reason is that the group 2 journals, they are already indexed in Web of Science or Scopus. Okay, and they will always be in the UGC care list. But if you go for the UGC care list group 1 journals, they are like every year they are evaluated on the basis of UGC care protocol. And it may be that if you look today, that journal will be indexed in the UGC care list, but after 2 years or 3 years, it may be removed. So always you will be in a fear that whether this particular journal that will remain in the UGC care list or not. So why to be in this fear? Okay. So this was the second tool. Then the third tool, that is Web of Science Master Journal List. If you search on Google, you will get a link and this will be the interface. Okay, and from here you can search the journal, any journal. Suppose Journal of Academic Librarianship. Like you see, I searched for a journal and I found it detailed. All the details are over there. Likewise, you can search by subject also. So many options are given over there. Okay. Similarly, there is option to get the list of the journals which are indexed in Scopus. And the website is Scopus Sources. If you search on Google Scopus Sources, you will get this website. And from here, if you want to search by subject, subject, title, publisher, ISSN, all options are there. You can refine and you can search accordingly. All right. Now, there are some of the practical problems. Practical problem is that, like, suppose I use this tool, Web of Science or Scopus, okay, and I submitted this journal to Journal of Academic Librarianship, okay, but what happens is that sometimes when you submit a paper, the paper is reviewed and sometimes it is rejected. Okay, then the problem is that what to do? My paper has been rejected now. How to find a similar journal in which I had submitted earlier? That is a big problem that most of the researchers they face. Okay, so in that situation, you can use this tool, that is SciImago Journal and Country Rank. Okay, this is a very powerful tool and it is based on the data of Scopus. Okay, so suppose I submitted a paper to Journal of Academic Librarianship and it was rejected by this journal. Okay, so what I will do, I will search over here the journal. Okay, so this is Journal of Academic Librarianship. Now you see what it does, like on the basis of this journal that I search, it recommends me some similar journals, like you see, college and research libraries. Okay, this journal has 88% similarity to Journal of Academic Librarianship. Then the second journal, that is Portal, which has 82% similarity. So this is a best tool to identify similar journals. Okay, because most of the researchers they face this situation. They submit a paper to a particular journal and that journal rejects a paper. Then there is a problem like how to find another journal, where to submit. Okay, so that problem can be removed using this SciImago journal and country rank tool. All right. Now, sometimes there are problems like how to identify, because there are n number of journals if you search. Okay, and the problem is that if you search by Google, suppose International Journal of Scientific Research. Now you see this International Journal of Scientific Research. This is basically a predatory journal. And whenever you will use Google to search for a journal, always the predatory journals, they will come first. You see, this is a predatory journal. You can see it shows impact factor 5.711. If you click on it, you see it shows me a link to some other database. But this is the not authentic source to provide impact factor of the journal. The problem with Google is that, like these predatory publishers, they spend a lot to get ranked in Google in top 10. So that's why whenever you will use Google to search for a journal, there are high chances that, because everyone will go for from the first page of the Google search, and the top 10 results mostly they are of predatory publishers. Okay, so in that situation, never use Google to search for a journal. Instead, there are some other tools, like you can search by publisher, like Wiley. And these days, all the publishers have launched their tool to find journals. Like I will show you with an example of Taylor and Francis and Wiley. You see, this is the tool, Wiley Journal Finder Beta. Okay, what it does, it will ask your manuscript title and the abstract. Okay, and once you have submitted the title and abstract, you can submit. Then it will recommend some journals which are relevant to your title as well as abstract. Okay, similarly, Taylor and Francis, It has also launched the journal suggestor tool. Okay, again, it asks for abstract. You just copy the abstract and paste over here. Then it will suggest you the journals. Okay, but the thing is that these tools, they are still under development. Okay, so these are not yet powerful to provide pinpoint information or correct information. You will find some journals even after searching on these portals which are not relevant to your subject area. Okay, but I think research is being conducted on these tools, and by within 2 years, I think these tools will be powerful enough for journal recommendation. Okay, so since you are at the beginners level, so I will suggest you to go for the Taylor and Francis journal if you want to publish your research in a good journal. Now, the reason is that why I'm suggesting for Taylor and Francis journal. The reason is that Taylor and Francis and Elsevier, they offer a range of statistical parameters which which are very much useful for a new researcher. Like you see, if you look for any journals listed in published by Taylor and Francis, you will find that there is a link of journal metrics, because the thing is that most of the time we want to publish our paper as early as possible. Okay, so in that case, this statistic is of very much relevance. Like you see, from the journal metrics, I came to know that it takes only 1 day to reach a first decision, and 16 days it takes for average decision from submission to first post review, 24 days from acceptance to online publication, and the acceptance rate is 20%. So it is very much useful information. Like if you want to publish any paper as early as possible, or you want to know that how much time, because in international journals, they take a lot of time in peer review. Okay, peer review and the time of first decision, these are some crucial information. Okay, so likewise, Elsevier, they also offer similar kind of information. Like I searched for the Journal of Academic Librarianship. It is published by Elsevier, and there you can see there is one option called impact. And from the impact, you can find all the details, like details of site score, its impact factor, article influence, all these details are there. Speed is there. You can click on it and you can see that how much time it takes in peer review. You see the details are available by year. Like you can see in 2021, the average time taken for the first decision, that is 3 weeks, and the average time for the final decision, that is 4.4 weeks. So these are some crucial information. All right. So since you are beginning your research and looking for high quality journals, I will always suggest to start from the Elsevier journal or Taylor and Francis journals, and you can use these statistical information to get an idea, which will be helpful for selecting the journal. All right. So this was about the predatory journals and publishers. If you have any question, you can ask me.
Sir, so far no one has put any question. Dear participants, just put your questions, whatever you are having. It's a very relevant topic, and all of us are facing problems. Any question on any website? Many websites sir has shown very practical approach he has taken. Well, we are getting all appreciations only, but no questions. So, Mayank ji, if you want to elaborate some point, but you have finished early, so that you can do, because we are not getting any questions on that.
Okay, sir.
Uh, Mayank ji, the few questions came from Dr. Rajni.
Sir.
First is, can you give us Indian-based open access and Scopus list of journal?
And to, Mayank, better you stop now discussion time, no, stop sharing so that your full view will come, no, it will be good. You finish your presentation, no?
Yes, sir.
So now you stop sharing, then it will be good.
Yes, sir. I've stopped it.
No, still your sharing is going on Google page.
Stop sharing, one button is there on top.
Yes, sir. I've stopped it.
No, but still Google is coming from your side.
Your PPT is stopped, but I think you also shared your browser.
Browser sharing is going on. Stop sharing on top, red colored is there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just click on that. Yes, now it's done. So the question from Dr. Rajini is, one first question, can you give us Indian-based open access and Scopus list of journal?
For the open access journals, I will suggest you use those directory of open access journal. Okay. From there, you can get a broad list of all the journals which are available in open access. Okay. And from the scope for the Scopus list, we'll have to use the Scopus sources tool. Okay. The Scopus sources is there, and that lists all the journals which are indexed in Scopus.
Okay. Then second question is, can you give us free or uncharged list of Scopus and Web of Science? So that also I think you answered already.
Yes,
Free list is
actually,
from.
in the Scopus sources and the Web of Science master journal list, there you will get the filter. Okay, and from the filter you can refine your search. From there you will get the option like if you want to get completely free or with article processing charges or without article processing charges. So you can use that tool.
And then one more question from him is, at the time of publication, journal may be listed, but later on it is removed from the that listed ones. Then how to claim this for CAS?
Actually, the thing is that there are hardly any journals indexed in a scopus of Web of Science, which are delisted. That problem is basically for the UGC careless category 1 journals, group 1 journals. So that's why I told earlier, like in my personal opinion, you should go for the journal indexed in scopus of Web of Science. Then I think it will not be a fear for you that whether my paper or my journal will be listed in the database or not.
Hmm. Okay, so we received only these questions. So Manojji, anything else
Yes.
from you? One more question I think came. Oh, no, thank you only.
Yeah, no, only thank you. So, thank you so much, Dr. Mayank, for giving your valuable time and sharing very relevant topic. Nowadays, predatory journals is become a very big challenge for all academicians and especially the new assistant professors who joined. And sometimes they are using the fake name and they publish some paper, or sometimes they are using so similar name that it is very difficult to identify actually what the journals are there, and sometimes they are claiming very high impact 7, 8, 9, 10 impact for their journals. So really your lecture is very much useful for all the new our assistant professors, and not only assistant professors, even professors, and we also who is always engage ourselves in the research and publications. So thank you so much for your valuable time in sharing your research topic, very relevant topic with our participant. So on behalf of the HRDC, we are very much grateful to you. So now you may leave. If you want to say something, then okay. Otherwise, you may leave, and my office will contact you like earlier.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. So, dear participant,